Hello, and welcome to another APM Research Focused Decoding. Today, we will decode Yehovah. This is the biblical name of the God of Israel. This God is not the creator of the realm and all, which we will elaborate on today. This God is one of the little g's that are creating on a more micro scale than the source creator. Their roles, we at APM Research have been highlighting for some time now. So, Yehovah is also known as a tetragrammaton in ancient Hebrew. In metaphysics, tetragrammaton is a mathematical equation for the essence of the universe. From APM perspective, everything we have researched in the last few years all leads to the same conclusion. There is a creator and a construct. Various cultures have depicted this as a pentagram, with each point representing an element: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. Spirit we now know to be electrical, with positives and negatives being manipulated and stacked by the force known as magnetism. Yehovah is also depicted in sacred geometry symbols, such as the one we see here. This overlays beautifully on our realm and shows us the energy flow and some very special cross points we have discussed in great detail in the past. The sacred geometry we come across everywhere are also used by Freemasons, and their logo, which shows expansion and compression, which we have decoded, this representing our realm, undertakes to perform its functions. The manipulation of the 5 main mentioned elements: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. 90% of them probably don't understand the meaning of the logo as we do. It was designed long ago and stolen by the ones at the top of the pyramid and called their own, just like many other symbols. The masses look at it blindly. We, with APM eyes, have taken off the blinders and learn all these ancient symbols and their true meanings. Today, we remove the blinders to the formula Yehovah. So let's begin and learn what Yehovah really means and the little g's functions and roles in our realm.
Y is the division of the sex pairs, the positives and negatives. This is what Walter Russell's work was based upon. To elaborate further on the Y and how this came to be, we have to look inside the vortex. This is the electromagnetic components mixing the positives from above with the negatives below. This is what causes the reaction that forces the division and multiplication of the sex pairs into what we call electricity. H is the horizontal component of terrestrial magnetism. We have to think of the insides of a capacitor. The equatorial plane is the center of this giant capacitor, our very plane of existence in the realm model. The positives are forced upwards and the negatives are forced downwards. This is the purpose of the horizontal component. It keeps the opposing polarities separate. This is how the capacitor maintains its equilibrium. This can be explained in Walter Russell's work, which shows 2 opposing forces being separated by a third force, which we now know to be magnetism. Magnetism's purpose is to divide the positives and negatives and maintain an equilibrium. V is the velocity that takes place when dividing the sex pairs. There is specific velocity for dividing the positives and negatives. In our terms, this would be equal to the speed of lightning. In Newtonian mechanics, linear momentum, translational momentum, or just momentum, is the product of the mass and velocity of an object. It is a vector quantity assessing the magnitude and direction. H. This is Planck's constant. This is a physical constant that is an electromagnetic action which relates to the energy carried by a photon to its frequency. Planck theorized that the equations of motion for light describe a set of harmonic oscillators, one for each possible frequency. The spectral radiance of a body describes the amount of energy it emits at different frequencies. So in simple terms, this is the frequency the energy radiates. Scriptures tell us God is light. Walter Russell did say there will be a time when religion and science have to come together. That time is now. Open your eyes, people, and see the glory that has been hidden from you. The descriptions and sacred geometries given by every culture are doing their very best to describe the glory of the realm. That glory is this technological glory which reveals a very intelligent creator.
YHVH. You will notice that H appears twice, but governs two different arenas. The first H is the magnetism that forms the equatorial plane of the macrocosm. The second H refers to Planck's constant, which regulates the energy in the smallest units of light. The constant itself is the mathematical expression that represents how much energy a photon has based on its wavelength. We know from Walter Russell that what regulates energy into its opposing components is magnetism. So the two H's both represent magnetism. In this respect, the H's can be likened to the number 1. 1 is an interesting number because it can be used to express the whole of a system or the smallest unit within a system. The first H is magnetism that governs the system as a whole, while the second H is the magnetism that governs the smallest units, as above, so below. Another interesting connection is the Greek letter epsilon. Epsilon is the Greek equivalent of the Hebrew letter H. Epsilon is used by mathematicians in the formula for dielectric permittivity. In this respect, epsilon is the measure of the ability of a dielectric to become polarized. The higher the permittivity, the more polarization can be achieved. The more I explore APM with my colleagues, the more we come to realize the interconnectedness of all things. Such a beautiful and harmonious balance exists in this realm of our Creator. Yet that very balance is in jeopardy because of a select, greedy few. My own personal belief is that this exploitation will not last much longer. We are entering a new age, and the warnings handed down to us are very precise. The way I understand it, there will be a shift in the energy of this realm, and it will not be compatible with the lower emotional frequencies we associate with evil behavior. I know not what is in store for those who continue down that dark path. What I know is that those of us who live in our heart already are in the great shelter of life. Much love to you all.
Although we cannot give this the wording, splendor, or glory it deserves, we can put it into layman's terms for all to understand. What we are highlighting in this decode is the formula YHVH has given us to harness the electrical energy of our realm and understand its mechanisms. All of nature is attributed to the mechanics of the angels. This is the nature of our realm. This is what the ancients knew and the Creator wanted us to understand clearly. Look around, people. You will see sacred geometry everywhere, from the micro to the macro in life. Now, we should be more clear why the ancients called the luminaries of our heavens gods, spelt with a little g, O-D-S. Although they are doing their role creating, they are not the source creator, but a creation themselves, of magnificence and glory according to scriptural descriptions put here to serve their function by the source creator. I don't know if our brains are able to grasp the magnitude of the whole of the source, but piece by piece we can understand our realm.